Hi, I'm Salomea Krobath and I work for Vienna Contemporary, Austria's leading art fair for contemporary art. We take place every year in September and we are a big international art fair with about 100 exhibitors. So you can discover galleries from Central and Eastern Europe, from Austria and from all over the world. So we are a very small team and we work all year around. For us to create coherent graphic appearance but also content appearance is quite easy, I would say, because luckily, since we are an art fair, we have very nice aesthetics. We have a great CI, in my opinion, and we do work very strictly on always applying the CI, always applying our color code. Content-wise, we do have a very full program. Once we get closer to the fair, the challenge is to get this wide program that the fair offers. So we have talks, we have more than 100 exhibitors, we have special curated sections, tours, we have VIP events. So the challenge is to communicate all these points to our audiences without it becoming too overwhelming. Even though we are such a creative scene, we have a very strict communication plan with a monthly newsletter. We use modular content, so we prepare content in our online blog, in our newsletter. We always accompany it with social media posts. What I think is really good at Vienna Contemporary is that for storytelling, we do have a lot of material because the fair stands out as one of the few fairs that have a very strong curated program. So we have, for example, Zone 1. That's a section that introduces young artists under the age of 40 and it shows them in solo presentations. So alone this is a really good talking point and content point. You can present the curators, you can present the art that is shown. Then we have Context, that's a new section focusing on artists from the late 20th century, mainly women and mainly people who have been overlooked in the past, but they are being rediscovered or rejudged. So this is also a really strong content point that kind of stands for itself. Then we have Statement. VCT Statement is a really interesting program because it works at the intersection of art and socio-political phenomena. So for example, last year we did an exhibition on energy and sustainability. We presented artists that really dealt with the topic of modes of creating energy, of fear of the future, fear for the planet. So I think this is a very powerful section to really show how relevant art is in finding solutions or treating subjects that the whole world is worrying about. So yes, we are really lucky that my colleagues and me, we have this huge pool of really interesting content, and in the end all we need to do is get it out there into the world, and it's a job that's, in my opinion, very easy because it's so strong content-wise that it doesn't need a lot of polishing. Then of course we do work in the art world, so we do have very strict aesthetics, a very strict eye on the graphic design. Everything needs to be on point. So it's easy on the one hand because it's so rich and rewarding, but of course it's very strict and high profile on the other hand. Then there was this question about how we deal with challenges with last minute changes, etc. With the fair it starts slowly, I would say, but then in March, April it gets increasingly busy. We have many cooperation partners, like a few hundreds. So we need to make sure that we feature everyone who gets to be featured according to the contract. So this comes all down to planning, organizing. We have a lot of Excel lists. We have a lot of calendar appointment sheets, meetings. So there's this one side of being really organized and strict in a way. And then it all comes down to a really great team of very devoted people. And in the month before the fair, we all work so much. Like for us, the fair is the #1 priority. We work weekends, it means late nights and early mornings. I think only with this dedication you can really adapt to spontaneous changes or cancellations, because there's always happening something, always last minute deals, last minute changes. And I noticed with every year it becomes easier in a way, because you have the routine, you have the overview of what needs to be done, and you anticipate the changes. You know what is late, you know what you can already do in advance. So I'm trying to prepare whatever I know is fixed. I try to prepare as early as possible, and then you have more freedom for last minute changes. I think in Austria, in the art scene, it's important to show up, go to gallery openings, go to galleries, talk to people, discover a lot, get to know the artists and the art that is showing, get to know the events that are happening in town, and get to know the people. The Austrian art scene, or let's say the art industry in Austria, in a way, it is large, but I think it's much easier once you get to know some people and share some visions. I think that helps a lot. And you need to be talented. You need to have unique skills, maybe filming or a knack for storytelling, for getting the content, understanding it and getting it out there again. And you need to be enthusiastic, and you need to be willing to go the extra mile. So you cannot expect in the art industry to say, okay, I will be home by 5 p.m. I think you need to be willing to, and you need to like it needs to be fun. And we notice a lot with the fair, because in the weeks and months towards the fair, it gets so busy that some people really thrive in this buzz and in this adrenaline of the fair, and others, it's not for them. For other people, maybe it's better to have a normal office job with a very stable routine. But for us, for our team, we really enjoy this, like gradually building up, looking all the events and corporations unfold, because it's so nice. Like you have an idea and then it all comes together and it creates this really, really wonderful event, and you get to showcase all this great art. And in the end, you go through the halls and look at the amazing exhibitions shown by the galleries, and yeah, it's just pure happiness for us. It's really cool. And we are lucky in a way that we get to work throughout the year doing storytelling. And for example, what we did to really also stay relevant to our audiences and our clients, the galleries, is, for example, we have found a really important spot with Vienna Weekly, where we present every week what is happening in Vienna. It's like a list of selected art events, and many people tell us that this is where they go to find out what exhibitions to visit and what openings to attend. So this, I think, is something that's really useful for the people, and they like it. As a fair, our main goal is to make contemporary art more relevant in everyday society. So like movies or theater or music, we want that fine arts is like an integral part of society. So we interview collectors, for example, and we ask them how they started collecting and why they buy art. And this is also really interesting, just to find out that pretty much anyone can buy art. It's not only for elite people, it's also for students and young people. Like, art is so rewarding, and everyone has such a personal, interesting story as to why they love art. And then we started doing interviews with gallerists in Vienna, and this is also really cool because they tell us a bit about the backgrounds of what is happening in Vienna, and also their favorite spots in Vienna, and what is important for them in artists, for example. Like this, we also try to be useful for young artists, for example, so they can learn more about what galleries actually look for. So this is a bit what we are trying to do, to be this platform where people meet to discover art, buy art, but also to maybe find a new gallery, or for galleries to find new curators, work together, international collaborations.